Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photo editing live stream where you submit your images before the stream starts, and I edit them here for you live using DxO's Photolab 8, my preferred photo editor. And they're running their Black Friday sale. It just started today, and I'll have my affiliate link down below, so you can download the free trial or just go ahead and purchase it. I think it's like 50 bucks off. It's a good deal. Probably the best deal you're going to get until next Black Friday, to be honest. It seems like it's been a couple of years since we've seen a really like 50% off. That was about 2 or 3 years ago. So I guess they've kind of locked in that this is where they want to be as far as discounts go, but this is going to be it for a while. So now's the time to get it if you're looking for an alternative. But I did a stream on it this morning. Excuse me. Live stream. I kind of fumbled through it a little bit. It's not really my thing to just push out a product, but I really believe in DxO Photolab 8 is the best photo editor out there, and that's why I did a stream on it, particularly this morning for it, dedicated to it this morning. So let me see who's here. I see Roger's here, and let's see, Garrett. Good to see you. Um, yeah, it's after midnight in the Netherlands. Okay, Netherlands. I'm sorry. Great. Well, thanks for coming back and watching. And Eric says, let me pull up my chat window. Eric says, on the Panasonic Leica DG Nocturne 42.5 would the lens only stability work with the own camera? I'm torn between that and the 45 Pro. If you have an Olympus camera, get the 45 Pro from Olympus or OM Systems. Full stop. They're both excellent lenses. I've seen comparisons between the two, and there's really no difference optically. So just get the Olympus version for Olympus cameras and vice versa, Panasonic for Panasonic cameras. um, Jeff says it's midnight here in the UK and I have to be up early, so I'll catch. Okay, Jeff, thanks for coming back and watching. And John Follows says, hi, nearly midnight here in the UK, an hour after Europe, so someone's maybe checking out. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to do this at 2 o'clock, like, 5 hours ago for me or for everyone, right? And I forgot I had to go to an appointment for a photo shoot to sort of scout the location before I actually have to shoot it tomorrow. And it's an indoor setting with a theater, and there's going to be dancing and all that stuff. And I wanted to get a feel for the stage lighting and all of that, and where I'm going to put my own lighting. And I totally forgot about it, and so I had to reschedule the stream for now. I was debating about doing it tomorrow morning, but usually in the mornings I do other stuff. So anyhow, on a Saturday anyway, I do stuff with the photo club usually. And Willem's here. Good night from France. Wow, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize everyone, a lot of you are here from, much further east than I am. So good 5 hours. Oh my goodness, Diane is here. How are you, Diane? Good to see you. We need to get together again soon before you go back to, Brazil. Anyhow, I downloaded the images just before the stream started, so I'm going to um, just pull up Photolab and we'll get started. And I just ate something really greasy, so I got a lot of phlegm in my lungs for some reason. Those two seem to always go together right after I eat something greasy. Let me pull up the right window. And I'm using a little bit larger display today so that things will be easier to see. I'll just have a little less real estate in the middle to work with the image. So we'll start here from Garrett, and we got an awesome eagle shot. Wow. Wow. And you were shooting with the, let's see, the EOS R50 and the 100 to 400. So again, that's an excellent setup there you have. So I already have the optical module loaded. I'm going to apply my basic preset. And let's see, default. And we'll go in here. And I think for composition, I'm just going to take a little off the top here. So let me do that. Let's try 4x3 and just come a little off the top. Something like that. Okay, good. And we just need a little brightness. I'm going to try the auto feature here, the smart lighting. Okay, yeah, I like that so far. And then just push the shadows a little. Maybe a little bit more. And then we'll give the eye a little bit of gloss with a local adjustment. And for those of you that are thinking about buying Photolab, I do these streams every week. And there's nothing like learning how to use the software than watching over someone's shoulder and doing it live. I do a little more than just editing here. Sometimes I critique a little as well, but subjectively critiquing, right? It's all subjective. So I'm going to make the eyes a little bit glossier. I always like to see a little bit of shine. Sometimes I push the highlights. And let's give it a little micro contrast. And then in this case, I'm going to add a little saturation. So we'll push the vibrancy just a tad. And then sometimes I apply the same thing to the beak, but that doesn't look like it's going to work. So let me use a separate brush because I want the beak to stand out. Whenever I do birds, I like to do beaks, eyes, and talons. So we don't have any talons in this one, so we're good. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of polish here with clear view and micro contrast. All right, good. And I think we're just about done. I'm just going to add a quick vignette here. Maybe that's too much. Pull the midpoint out. Right about there. Go back to the beak. I want the beak to be just a little bit brighter. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to push the sharpening just a little bit as well. It's just a little bit soft. Oh, see, it's your shutter speed. I think this is a little bit of motion blur in here. So that's why the feather detail's a little soft. A bird like this, or a shot like this, I should say, I would probably be at least 1/250th or 1/500th, just to sort of minimize this motion blur that we're seeing. But I can mitigate that somewhat with some unsharp mask. There. See, I'm trying to bring out the details just a little bit if I can. All right, that's good. So these are details you can't really see unless I really zoom in. See, if I turn this off, see the difference, and then I'll turn this on. So that doesn't get rid of the motion blur, but it does sort of mitigate it when you're looking at it from a full screen perspective. So we'll just do a quick before and after here. And so again, just a crop into the eagle and brightening up the beak and the eyes. And that's it really, and push the shadows and then a slight vignette. So that looks really good, I think. If I punch in very close, we can do a comparison this way. Again, you can see just a tiny bit of motion blur in this versus the original. Or that's showing up in the original as well, I should say. Okay, very good. Let's go to the next one. And let me pull this film strip up. Let's see, we have one here from John Follows. And oh, beautiful landscape. This looks familiar though. Like I've seen these mountains like at a different time of the year. Let me zoom out. So we have a full 3x2 landscape on the Nikon Z8, the 51.4, f11, 1/60th, just perfect settings. Really, really good settings for this shot. All right, so whenever I look at landscapes, if there's water in it, I always try to bring the water and make it nice and shiny and glossy and darker if I can. Maybe even a little bit cooler in temperature. And I also like to see where the light is coming from. So clearly the light's kind of coming in. If I zoom in on the shadows, it looks like, sure, having a hard time seeing what direction the shadows are for some reason. There's some people there. Okay, so the shadows are going off to the left. So the light, I mean, it was obvious by looking at the mountain, but I wanted to get a really precise idea on the shadows or where the light's coming from. So it's definitely coming in from the right. So I'm going to emphasize that as well. And then we're going to make some drama in the sky. So that's, excuse me, I'm so sorry. That's my thought process when I look at this image. So let me go ahead and let's apply the basic preset. And this basic preset, for those of you not familiar, is just optical corrections, noise reduction, and chromatic aberrations, things like that. Nothing major in terms of lighting or luminance and color. It's just simply giving us the image, clean image to start with, straight out of camera. So let me just do the low-hanging fruit here. And I'm going to move this eyedropper up here because this control line is sensitive to luminosity and color. So we have our color, the chroma and luma sliders here. So I'm going to tighten up the luma mask so it doesn't affect the mountains. And you can see that cleaned up nicely. And now I'm going to push the clear view. See if I can get some of the sky back. A little bit there. Let's pull the highlights on that. Okay. Maybe not quite that much. And then we'll add some micro contrast. Sorry. Okay. I guess that's all we need to do. I don't want it to be too dramatic because I need it to blend with the mountains. Now I'm going to warm up the areas where it's a little bit brighter. So let me try another control line going in the opposite direction. And I'm going to move this over to a lighter area and then really tighten up the luminosity mask. Right here, right about here. So we're only affecting the brighter areas. And I'm going to warm that up just a bit. Like so. We give it a little magenta push. All right, and then let's see, let's extend this up a little bit. Just into the clouds a tiny bit. Okay. There. Where are we at? We're at 5,900. I'm going to go up to about here. Okay. And let me work on the water. So we'll start a new control point. And we'll just highlight some of the water in here. And I'm going to bring the highlights in. Let's try some clear view. It's a pretty strong reflection on here, so I may not get the exact effect that I want. Then I'm going to cool it off a tiny bit. something right about there. Okay. See if I can stretch this out. All right, good. Uh, Now, let me add another control line. I'm going to work on the shadows a bit. So I start a new control line. Go up there. I want to make sure we're just working on the shadow areas. Yeah, that looks good. Don't want it to be quite that tight. Maybe about right there. And I'm going to push the shadows like so. And I'm going to add some clarity or clear view. Good. And then I'm going to cool it off as well. Oh, where we're at, we're at 59. I'm going to cool this off to about 5,000. About 53. We don't need too much. Okay. So far so good. Okay, let me just do a quick before and after and see where I'm at. All right, I like it so far. I just need to, I'm going to adjust this one control line I created. I think I pushed the shadows a bit too much. Let's pull those back a little. All right, now on the global side, I normally don't need to do much globally, but let me see. So it might do a little bit of micro contrast here and just a tiny bit of clear view globally. I think I'm almost there. Just maybe a couple more spots. Add a control point and just increase the light intensity in here. So I'll just do a slight push, maybe a third of a stop here, roughly, and a slight push over here. This is a little bit cool, so let me warm it up a tiny bit. Maybe a slight push over here. Yeah, and then I'm going to give it some clear view. So I want the foreground to be even clearer. Okay, good. And then I'm going to warm up the image globally as well, just a tiny bit more. Let's go to about 7,000 there. I think we need maybe just a little bit more light on these trees. I'm going to tighten up the Luma mask and just push the exposure about a third. That's half, that's too much. About 0.4. Add some clarity and then a little bit more warmth. So I really want the light that's coming in from the right side. If I can add some in here. I want that to be sort of highlighted in the trees as well. A little bit right there. Maybe a touch there. That's smaller. Just to give it a little bit more dynamic range. a touch here. And a touch in here. A touch there. Okay. A tiny bit more clear view. All right, I think I'm done. So let's do a side by side. So here's the original, and here's my edit. It's very, very subtle. If I do, and I didn't need to do any crop on the composition. I really like the way it's composed as is. Let's just do a split this way. This might be a little easier to see the difference. So that's my edit there. And then this was the original. Yeah, I think that looks good. So before and after. Before and after. Okay. Beautiful image, John. Let's do the next one. And oh, I didn't download the optical corrections, but that's okay. Still came out good. Let's make sure we get the optical corrections for this one. All right. Let me actually, after I edit this image, I'm going to stop and check the chat. If you guys have any questions, just you can leave them now, and then I'll check the chat after I edit this image. Okay, this one's from Roger. Looks like we got the back end of a flower and this bud here, whatever. Oh, wow. The heck is this thing? Looks like an alien flower. And then we got this vine or whatever this is. So my question is, what is the subject here? What is the most interesting thing? This is the brightest part of the image, so my eye is drawn here, but it's out of focus and it's kind of obscured by this stem. And then this thing here is interesting, but then it's obscured, but at least it's mostly in focus. So I think I'm going to focus my composition over here and then just use these other things here as supporting elements. So I'm going to have to de-emphasize this and this vine. So let me apply basic preset and let's do a square crop maybe. We can come in. Okay, I think that's a little more interesting. I hesitate to try to correct this stem here, but it's really blocking this entire structure here. It's okay. Let's go to the global settings because I can see right away. I want to minimize the background first. So we're going to pull the blacks in. And on the global side, I think we can just do a little bit of warming. Go back here and we're going to push the midtones. Okay. We're going to have to do this locally. Okay, so let me just work on this. I'm going to tighten up the luminosity mask just a tiny bit. And we'll just brighten this I'm going to make it a little brighter than the rest of the image for now, but that'll be okay. Because now what I can do is just dim the image overall. Okay, I need to, wow, 1.5 stops, maybe not quite that much. I'll just do 1 stop there. Not getting the effect I was hoping for. What am I doing wrong here? So I have Luma, Chroma, back off to Luma. And let's add some clear view. And definitely some more micro contrast. There we go. Now that's pulling out the detail I want. All right, good. And then I'm going to de-emphasize the other elements here. Because these are not as important. Because remember, these were much brighter than the subject that I decided to go with. Gosh, I wonder if I just, let me just go as dark as I can and bring it up gradually. I think right about there. And then I'm going to cool it off as well. Right about there. Okay, let me check my crop again. So this is definitely gone. Let's come into about here. Add a tiny bit of micro contrast, tiny bit of clear view, just a little bit more here. And a slight push again to the midtones. All right, I think I'll stop here. So if we do a side by side, hopefully I was able to separate what I thought was kind of the most interesting thing in the shot, which was this. And now it stands out more. And then I just subtly de-emphasized the other elements here because they were just way too bright. So now you have competing things here for your eye, right? This bright object and then this more interesting object. So that's, I think, the best way to go for this. So there's the before. And the other thing is that I did is I warmed it up a tiny bit because there's this kind of green cast on the entire image as well. And there's the after. So before and after. And I think, yeah, I think that's a little better. Okay, let me check the chat section real quick. And let's see. William is here. It's super clear weather. Okay. Snow. We had a little bit of flurry this morning here. Yeah, it's cold. I hate that. And the Andromeda Galaxy. Yep. I'm gonna do some astrophotography this winter, that's for sure. And Signer said, hello from Denver. It's not late here. I've tried to upload photos several times in the past, but it's never worked. Do you have close submissions as your live stream begins? I didn't get too many submissions today, so what you can do Just email me there, rob@robtrek.com. Just email it to me there, and then I'll download whatever image you send. Try to send me a raw if possible, but whatever you send, I should be able to get it in my email. Okay. Just put in the message, for live stream editing, and then I'll download it, when I finish these other ones. And it's a pickling cuke. Okay. Interesting. The brown metal part is of a trellis. Okay. Is that another plant, I guess? I don't know. Oh my goodness, Shri is here. How you doing, Shri? Okay, let's go to the next one. And we have here from William, beautiful seascape. So let me bring in my editing tools. So let me see, we don't have a lot of clouds, so not a lot of work to do up here. Here the light is definitely coming in here from the left side this time. So we have a little bit of glow in here. And then the water is a nice rich blue. And this black rock here. Interesting. I'm not sure what to do about this. So let me apply a basic preset. Okay, and I'm debating doing a vertical or a horizontal. So let me look at a vertical. So I'm going to emphasize the height of this rock face, right? And that rock that's in the shadow on the left is very distracting. This doesn't quite work. Let me try. This is a little better. I got to look at the vertical again. I don't know. Let's see the horizontal versus this vertical. Maybe a little bit tighter. I think I'll go with this. I like the vertical. My rationale here is we have two verticals in the image already. And I think going with a horizontal or landscape would be just, I don't know. I kind of like this vertical a little better. So let's work with the lighting. I'm going to just apply a quick auto light to it. And what are we doing here? F8 1500, OM1 12 to 40 Pro. So everything is good. I see you dialed in -1, I think, to save these highlights, which was not a bad idea. But let's go ahead and bring them back in. I'm going to tighten up the Luma mask again so I don't affect the mountain. Just a little bit in here, okay? And let's bring the highlights in. What I might do is actually saturate this a little bit more. And I'm going to see if I can push that orange yellowish color. That might be a bit too much. But something like that. And then the blues, just push it a little bit more. Okay. And then this rock face, I think needs to be brighter. So let me tighten up the Luma mask a bit. Oh, that's weird. Why is it doing that? Oh. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm applying the same. I need to make a new control point. There we go. Now we're good. Okay. Tighten this up. And now we can tighten up the Luma mask. Okay, good. And let's just do a slight push here. Like that. And definitely we're going to need some. Let's really push the clear view and the micro contrast. Okay. And I'm going to desaturate it a tiny bit. Maybe not that one. Just a hair. All right, let me go back to the sky. The sky is just looking a little bit unnatural. So I'm going to, yeah, that's better. And this orange yellow, let's back that off a tiny bit. Okay. We'll just back it off a little bit. Okay. All right. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and see how I'm doing on this rock face. Okay, there's some greens here I want to emphasize as well. There's an orange line here. That's weird. Let me see if I can get some of this green to stand out a bit more. Maybe, let's see if I do it this way. No, that's not going to work. So let me do it with the control point here and here. It's a little bit there, definitely some up in here. And I don't think I'll be able to select that color because it's so close to the rest. So I'm just going to cool off the white balance. Let's do that. And maybe, I don't know if that kind of helps. Let me stretch it. Because this green or this moss on the rocks is very, very subtle. Okay, something is pull that back a little bit. And this, I'll pull that back a little bit as well. All right, I'm going to call it there. Actually, this moss is a little bit too strong. Let me see. Yeah, it's a little bit too strong. So I'm just going to do one touch there. Okay. All right, let's do a before and after. So clearly this image was shot with the intent to post-process because it was underexposed by stop to save the color and highlights in the sky. So mission accomplished there. On the composition, I wanted to emphasize these two rocks and this vertical face here. So I think going with a vertical works best. Again, this is all very subjective, right? And mostly because this particular rock was bothering me. It just was not adding anything to the scene. Now, what would have been interesting if there was a person standing here looking at this rock, then going a wide landscape, I think would be perfect. But with the lack of anything interesting over here, I decided to just get rid of it all and go with this one rock face. So there's the before and there's the after. So again, this is all very subjective, right? Okay, give me 1 second. I need to arrange my screen. And let's go to the next one here. This is from Lasse. And William says, I'll come back. I'll do 2 more edits and then I'll come back to the chat. Let's bring up my image here. Okay, so this is an interesting shot. Let's do a basic preset first. And I'm going to come in and just see what I can do. Because I kind of like this S pattern in here. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Excuse me. Man, I'm a wreck at night. This is why I'm not a night person. Usually around 7, 8 o'clock, I start to wind down. And then by 9 o'clock, I'm in bed. But there's just so much to do today. See, we got some red spots in here. I like this. I'm not going to be able to use it. It's just too small, but there's some red. Okay. So I see hints of spring here. I don't know where you are, but this looks very like transition from winter to spring to me. So I'm going to push the reds, the greens, or the reds and the yellows. Let me do that. Okay. I can probably do that just globally down here. Let me see what shows up when I push the reds. Yeah, that looks good. And let's go to the yellows and push that. Maybe stretch that into the oranges a little bit. Okay. Right about there. And then we'll go into the greens. I'm going to make these a little darker. Okay, that's a very, very intense color there. So now let me just de-emphasize globally a little bit. Go back to the reds. I think I pushed those as much as I can. Okay, there's that. Now, it's a little bit too much here in the foreground. Compositionally, I wonder if I can go right about here. But then this lamppost is dead center. I don't like that. Let me come off this way. Okay, I think that works. And then these are lights, right? I guess. It's nice that they have the lights with a shield on it so that you don't get light pollution into the sky. I wish more places would do that. Okay. So the question is, do I go full on fake lighting, you know, in these different spots just to, I think that's starting to look too fake. I'm just playing around here a bit. I want to, I'm gonna warm these lights up. Hmm. Oh no, I'm debating about this. Because I don't know if this makes any sense. Okay, we'll do that. And then let's push the reds and yellows again. Okay. And a new control point. What I want to do is just a very subtle, just a subtle glow. Ooh, that's too strong. Maybe. Just a subtle glow in the trees. And then I'm going to pull some of the lighting back. In these other areas. Okay. Pull this back. All right. That over slightly. A bit smaller. And then let's do something in the dark here. And cool that off. Get a little bit tighter on the luminosity. All right, I'm going to call it there. So I just basically light painted the shit out of it. Oh, excuse me, language. Okay, let's do a before and after. Sorry, Lasse, this is so messed up, but I just felt like this image on the left, there's really hints of color with the reds and yellows and splashes of green, but it's just not quite there yet. So I decided to just turn day into night, turn on the lights, and try to make the reds and yellows pop a little bit that way. I should have popped a little more yellow in here because there's some yellows down here. Let me see. See if I can make that happen. It's not that one or that one. I really need one more here. And just pop a little bit of yellows. Nope, not that last one. Okay. All right, now I'm done. Uh, all right, so there's the before and after. And, you know, I went with a landscape mode instead of portrait because I like the trees that are tall, but there's just a little bit too much foreground here. And then these lamp posts are just kind of an eyesore to me, the way they're positioned. So I just tried to emphasize that. I think that works. So there's the before and there's the after. Okay, let's do one more. Oh, that's mine. All right, this one's from Jeff. And Gosh, this looks familiar again. So this is practically midday. So let's see, we got lots of greens in the water. A little bit of reflection here. A path in here. And then all these flowers in here and here. Compositionally, let me just apply a preset real quick. I just want to see just kind of the overall lighting. So it's kind of here and here, and a touch up in here. So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna do a vertical crop again. I like the stream in here, but I don't know if I can save it because the subject is right here. All the light in the subject is mainly here, and then the lighting here is more of a distraction. So there's really two images here. I think this image on the right, this would make an image on the right would be good by itself. And then this image on the left is the subject with the people in it. So I feel like a vertical. So we have this image here, and then we have sort of this one over here, right? If I were to do that, that's kind of one image to me, something like that. And then this is another one. So I think I'll go with this one. It's just how much do I want to keep in the scene? What the heck? Hopefully I didn't miss another freaking appointment. Okay. I almost missed one today, so I gotta, I use my calendar and stuff on my phone that beeps at me when an appointment is due. Or I could get a text from someone that's saying, "Where are you?" Okay, so I think I don't know if this helps up here. This is distracting, so I'm gonna go with the bottom half of this. And maybe include these flowers down here in the foreground, this tree for framing, maybe this other tree for framing, and come down a little bit more. All right, that's going to be my composition. All right, so let's just light paint a little bit. So I'm going to, let me bring the exposure down a tad. Maybe the highlights, no, let's not do it that way. Let's just light paint our way through this. So what I want to do is really emphasize some of the yellow in here. Looks like I'm gonna have to do it this way. Let me move this. And let me go to the blues. know if that's helping or not. Let me see. That didn't make any difference. Stretch it this way and this. Oh, there we go. Stretch it those two ways. And then the greens, we're going to shift those a little bit yellow. Okay. All right, so that's the yellows. And then let's push some of the shadows in here just a tiny bit, like that. Okay, and a little bit warmer. So the idea here is I want to sort of create a little foreground here to frame the scene a little bit. Okay. Then we need to bring all this down a tiny bit. Okay. And I'm going to use this up here. All right, now overall the image is a little bit, white balance needs something here, maybe less green. Just a shift to the magenta side. A slight shift a bit warmer. Okay, and then the water. See if I can pull that in a little, make it shiny. Okay, good. And let me push that a little bit. That's not working. Nope, that might need a new control point. So this is just a bit too dark. And in here, push the shadows. And then let's pull this in a little bit. I'll actually give this a little bit of warmth as well. Okay. All right, I think I'll call it there. All right, so gosh, this is my second vertical today. But I just felt like this puts you more in the scene with the people there. Whereas this image here on the left, it just kind of puts you in the park, but not with the people, if that makes any sense. So I really wanted one of these people to be front and center and the main subject. And they're just a little bit too small here, and then all of this really bright sidewalk is very distracting to the people. They just kinda take away the people here in the middle. So that's what I'm doing over here is I'm just emphasizing who they are, and then I'm trying to frame them using the flowers here. So we have some flowers here and up in here. So the flowers I'm using as sort of a framing tool, and I would make this a separate picture somehow. Maybe at a little different angle, but right side of the image is really a separate image. But I think this image works better this way. Okay, let me check the chat section and see, you guys are, so William went with the, oh, you guys are talking about lenses here. Golden hour shot. And John says trellis is a frame to grow plants up, usually wood, but oh, okay. Thank you, John. I know nothing about horticulture or whatever that side of life is. And didn't see that on the page. Okay. All right, so you guys are talking about the fisheye lens. All right, I do have the 8mm Pro. I never use it though. I thought I would use it a lot more than I am, but let's go to the next image. All right, okay. This is interesting. This is from Peter. And this is a shot that, let me just put a basic preset. I think this is much, again, we have like 2 or 3 different things going on at the same time. Because we have a reflection, we have this sort of reflection, complete, this big round reflection. We have the people here, it looks like they're doing a toast, and then we have this beautiful landscape in the background, kind of framed by this frame. And then these people over here are not important, but they're part of the reflection. So yeah, this is going to be a heavy crop. I only like this part of the image right here. The rest of this chair is distracting. If you backed up a little bit, got the full circle and got this chair and maybe pulled the chair out so it's kind of pointing in, inviting you into the frame, that would make, I think, more interesting image. But the way it is, it's cut off, it's pointing away from the viewer. And, we have this beautiful, beautiful landscape back here. So this is the 12-45 f4 Pro. Man, this lens is so sharp. This is really an excellent image. Excellent image quality from the OM5 and the 12-45 Pro. So let me go ahead. I'm going to try a square crop just to start. I may change. I'm definitely going to change this. I'm pretty sure. But I want to capture just, let's see how that looks. That's a little bit too tight. How do I balance? I got rid of the reflection. God, I just can't believe how sharp this image is. I mean, I'm cropped down to about 3 megapixels here, and it still looks really good. Okay, let's keep the reflection. Let's try and center this object. I think this is the composition I'll go with. So we're at least maintaining two of the elements. Okay. Just not crazy about this right side, but this building kind of completes the overall scene. All right, let's work with the sky. Let's make that as dramatic as possible. So I'm going to move the eyedropper up here. Definitely add some contrast, some clear view, pull the highlights in. Not that much. And then let's actually maybe warm it up a bit. No, we'll have to do a global warming. No pun intended. That'll work. You go to globally and just, I didn't want this. I want the clear view. Just a little bit here. Okay. We need to do a little more work locally. So do a little work on this building. Oops. All right, so what I'm going to do here, let's crank this up, push the highlights. Give it a tiny bit of warmth. Yeah, that's going to need its own. Okay, good. And we need a slight horizon correction. So let me see what this does. Okay, that helps. Let me check my composition again. I can just come in a little bit more. Okay, and let's work on these people in here. Just a slight push and a little bit of micro contrast. A little more push. Midtones, pull the shadows. Okay. And then another one for their backs. Just do a slight push to the shadows here. Okay, good. Do the same thing in here. And then let's do a local control line in here. Whoops, we need a new one. So plus. Make that nice and glossy. Pull that in a tiny bit. And then one more control point here. Maybe just some clear view. Pull on the highlights. Do the same thing down in here and here. Maybe inside here a bit. All right, and then we'll fix this light. Let's make a new brush. I want to emphasize the marble in here. This is like a really fancy place here. Oops. Make the brush smaller. I think I can do that with just some micro contrast. It needs a little bit of glow. A little bit up here. Then a little bit of a drop of light. This thing. All right, I think I'll call it there. So yeah, this again, this has the same sort of challenge that we had in this photo here, is we have this group of people kind of in the center, and they're really interesting, right? These people, they're all kind of doing different things. I mean, this guy's got his hand up, and then we have this beautiful landscape right here in the back that I need to fix these couple of dots. Oh, gosh. This is the thing. Which control point is it? It's this one. I need to move these back. Got a little off center when I did that perspective correction. You should always do the perspective corrections first. Otherwise, the control points get thrown off. So we're good now. Okay. So again, like I was saying, this image here on the left, there's just too many elements here that just don't fit together for me. So I'm just minimizing the elements over here. I need to desaturate this a little bit too. Where's my control line? It's this one, right? There, that's better. So that's what I'm saying is too many elements. This chair is really distracting the way it is. Yeah, this chair doesn't do anything. These people don't do anything. I feel like everything is right here. The most interesting part, this and the people. And then we have the reflection. This needs to be composed completely differently somehow to get all of this in the way. At least for me, I would do something totally different with this space. And just, if I wanted to capture this, I would do something different compositionally. Okay, Cool, cool shot. All right. Let's see. We have one here from Acherado. Early snow. Cool. I'm thinking, hmm. I like the color of the leaves, but whenever I see snow, I kind of lean. Let me apply a preset. Let me just see. I think I'm going to go black and white with this one. And then I need to balance the scene. It's a little bit too heavy here on the right. So let's do, might have to do another vertical. Because if I crop in too, well, that's not too bad. But let me just see what a vertical would look like. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. And let's pull in the blacks, push the highlights. Give it a lot of micro contrast. Okay. And I'm gonna just brush in a little bit down here. What I want to do is just make this kind of speckly. If that's possible. Yeah, that's better. Right about there. Maybe just give it a tad more brightness. And then globally, let's push the highlights again. All right. Let me see where we're at. Oh, I don't know. I kind of like the color too, but I'm gonna go with the black and white. Oh, I didn't load the optical corrections. Hold on. Let me just get those in real quick. It's not going to make much difference on an image like this, but there we go. I think that's it. So let's do a before and after. The color would have been more interesting potentially, but I wanted to, I don't know, I just couldn't balance the color with the rest of the scene. So I think black and white works better, and I simplified it with the vertical because it was just way too heavy over here. We have the base of the tree and this big heavy tree, and then this little tiny tree over here. So by just kind of chopping it off, I think it balances better. And then we have the trail here filling more of the bottom of the frame so that you're kind of walking into it, and then making it nice and gritty. I think sort of separates it from the smoother snow. So let me exaggerate the snow a little bit, some smoothness. So if I can do that with a gradient, I think, like a control line. See if we can do that. And tighten up the lumen mask a bit. And I'm just going to pull the micro contrast, just the opposite of what I did on the ground. Something like this. Okay. All right, so that's my final edit. I mean, this is not bad. It just, I like things balanced and straight, and I like the front to have some sort of dominant structure or framing. And I did that by just expanding the trail via the crop. But I think that works. All right, let's see. Now this image here was actually sent in my previous stream because they were talking about this sort of pinkish hue, which if we go over to, I think if you look at it here, this is what he was talking about. The cane, the canip, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he was talking about this orange or pinkish tint in the image, which for whatever reason is showing on the thumbnail, which is a JPEG. It's an embedded JPEG. I don't know why the embedded JPEG has this pinkish tone, but when I work on the raw file directly, I'm not getting that. It's gone completely. So I don't think this was sent in to be edited, so I'm going to kind of leave it at that and just show that the pinkish tone is not showing in Photolab 8, because I think they were asking about Photolab 7. So if you're watching this now, you can see that in Photolab 8, that pinkish tone just doesn't exist here. And I haven't even applied any corrections yet. Let me try a basic corrections. Yeah, it doesn't change anything. So there you have it. Okay, and then the last image here, let's download the optical corrections. And apply basic preset. Okay. So this is from Paul. I like the rows over here. I don't like this, all of this. This is like 1/3 of the image, and it's just concrete, right? So I think, oh, let me see. I think I can minimize some of this concrete by just cropping in. No, maybe over here. It's still taking up a good chunk of space, but I like this crop a little better. Because this at least gives a reason why this is bending over. Hmm. punch the colors up, except for this one. I'll pull the oranges back. Go back and push these. So let me see. Yeah, that looks good. And I don't know. Yeah, that's not going to work. So I'm just going to use a brush. Let's just do a masking brush. See if this works. This doesn't work very well. I don't know why I keep trying this, but that wasn't bad. Okay, so we'll do that. Oops. Let's desaturate a tiny bit. Like that. Give it some micro contrast. And a push in the highlights. So let's see. A little less contrast here. We'll leave that soft. Okay. If I warm it up a little. Okay. Then drop a little bit on the water. With some control points like that. Okay, I think that might be it. Let me see where we're at. Maybe just a little bit more. Saturation. Okay. So that's the before. And that's the after. Let me zoom out. I'll put them side by side. So again, the subject is really far, to me, the subject is right here. These repeating patterns and colors all the way over here, and they're just way off in the distance. So cropping in brings them more forward, right? And then this offers really nothing. If there was somebody walking here or a dog or something here, that would kind of justify all this space in here. But as it is, it just doesn't work well as a negative space for me. So I tried to minimize that. And then also, I like my corners to have something. I was only able to get one corner in here to kind of draw the eye in. So it's almost like you're walking in from the left and coming in and going around. And that's kind of why I kept this part here. So I wanted to have some sense of flow going from left to right. Didn't have to do much with the sky. It was kind of fine. There's not much left of it here in this crop. But mainly the eye needs to be right in here with all these bold colors. So if I do that, that's the before. And just a tight crop and saturation. I think that came out pretty good. Just like that. That looks really good. All right. Something's not right here. I got all these raws. Okay. I'm missing. Oh, there's a couple images here. They were. Oh, I did this one. Okay, this is a JPEG from Shri. Another JPEG here. So there's a couple of JPEGs in here. So moonshot in JPEG. So this is going to have very, very minimal editing. But we'll just do a quick square crop. And just come in. Center that. So we're down to less than 1 megapixel. Well, what did you shoot this with anyway? This was a EM1 Mark II with a 40 to 150. Okay, that's why it's so small. You only have a 150 millimeter lens here. And then the clear view usually does a good job of separating sort of the different craters and things. And then we'll do unsharp mask and we'll push the radius here and a little bit of sharpness here. And go back to this and so I think that's all I can do here. So let's do a side by side. So really, I just needed to add contrast and a little bit of sharpness to it. And sharpness is really just very, very fine contrast, right? It's not, there's really no such thing as sharpening. We're just separating the contrast by frequency when we talk about sharpening. Okay, but I think that's just a little bit better. We can see a little bit more detail. And then this one here, oh, that's mine. Okay. So this one here is sent in. Okay, this is from Shri. And this is, oh, yeah, I know where this is. This is Alexandria. Uh, this is definitely the sunrise because the sun is coming up here from the east. And it's already been edited. It's black and white. So not much I can do here. But this is with your XZ2. I didn't know you had an XZ2, Shri. That's a nice little camera. I have one. Not much I can do because if I try to do any kind of editing, it's going to start to give me banding and things. I would pull this in a little bit, pull the blacks in and just make a little bit more of a silhouette. I didn't want that. Let me pull the exposure up. And I'm gonna pull this up a little bit. I think that's all I would do is just sort of increase the contrast overall. And then just do a wider crop. I think a 16 by 9 would be good. Something, yeah, something like that. Maybe even a little bit tighter. Like that. And then just fix these sticks coming in. Okay. That's it. So there's the original here, and here's the edit. And like I said, there's some banding and noise coming in that I can't do anything about because it's a JPEG. But that's what I would do because these sticks are distracting, right? This beach, this foreground's not doing anything. If I wouldn't. Yeah, there's nothing here to really get excited about down here. So just staying with a very simple image with a strong light source here on the right and then a silhouette on the left. And I think that works a little better. Okay, and see if there's anything else here I missed. Looks like we're done. So let's go to my image here that I gave you guys to edit. So here's the original image. I'll set this as the reference. And this is the image I captured from Conowingo. I told you guys I was going to Conowingo and I'd give you an image from that photo shoot to edit. And this image is okay. The eagle is really far away. And as you can see, I was at 420 millimeters, and that's all I could get of the eagle in the frame. But I thought it was kind of a nice shot. I like the back, excuse me, I like the background and everything. So I wanted to see if you guys could do anything with this because I didn't. I ended up not using this or editing this myself, but I was going to come back to it. But I said, I'll just give it to you guys and see what you do. So let's take a look at what came in. So we have one here from Marcel. Very nice, Marcel. I love it. Really good. I mean, you didn't even try to save the highlights or anything, and that's perfectly fine. I think that works for this image. The highlight I'm referring to, like along the eagle's back here, and just gave it this really warm tone. So it's very, very different than the original, I think. Let me, very different. This framing, gosh, this reminds me of something. But anyway, really nice. I like it. And then Garrett, awesome, gave me a nice black and white. Garrett says, screw the background. I'm just gonna do the eagle. So yeah, good processing on the and Garrett made an effort to save the highlights and things. It's a little bit of haloing in here. I don't really see that in the original, but like I said, I didn't try to edit this myself. But that's a good clean black and white edit. Okay. And we have one here from Paul. All right, yeah, so you got rid of this rock. That makes sense. And just cropped into the left side and gave the eagle some flying room, right, to head into. Yeah, that's a nice edit. Nice, crispy, and again, you let the highlights go, and that's fine. I think, letting the highlights blow out on this image is fine, meaning the eagle's bald head. It really doesn't bother me for this kind of image. But the processing is really good. You really got some good detail out of it. You don't have the same haloing problem that, uh, who is this, Garrett was having. Just a tad bit over sharpened when you zoom in, but when you zoom out, it looks fine. If you look at this in a normal viewing, it looks fine. And it looks like you also may have desaturated a tiny bit in the background because this tree here should be greener, yellower, I guess. So that's cool. Um, and here's one from Naturado. You kind of went the opposite direction, right? Again, you guys are cropping out my rock here, which is fine. I would have probably done the same. But you're actually the edit on the eagle is pretty much the same as Paul did. So if you look at Paul's and then you look at yours, the edit on the eagle is pretty much the same, but you emphasize the color in the background. And that's probably what I would have done myself. So this is probably the closest to what I would have done myself, actually. I like this edit. Um, and then let's see, we have one here from Jan. Okay, interesting. So this is sort of framing the subject with this vignette. And then not much in the color though. I think you kept the colors pretty much the same. You actually left a little bit of the rock in, unlike everybody else. But the edit on the eagle looks really good. Nice clean edit there. Needs a little bit of noise reduction applied because there's still some color noise. Color noise can be easily removed in just about any software. You don't have to have DxO to do that. So I would have done a little bit of color noise reduction or chroma reduction. But overall, it's an interesting edit. It's got this kind of tunnel vision type look to it, to the eagle, the way it's edited, because you kind of framed it with like this kind of vignette. It's not really a vignette, but it's definitely darker. Okay, so not many people left here. I know it's such a late night edit. I'm tired. I know you guys are probably tired because a lot of you, this is probably after midnight right now. But anyway, I really appreciate everyone sending their images in. I try to do these every week to kind of showcase the tools that are available in DxO Photolab 8, especially now that it's on a Black Friday sale. So definitely check that out. I have my affiliate links down below. But most importantly, I enjoy editing your photos. So again, thanks for sending those in. It's good practice for me. Hopefully I gave you guys some feedback, and it's all subjective, right? It's not my image, it's your image, and it's just my vision of what your image could be. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong, right? I'm just editing them, and hopefully it gives you some ideas of how to edit your own images when you come up when when you go out and take some photos. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this session. If you enjoy these videos, you can become a member to support the work that I do here. It's just 99 cents a month. It's the only membership I offer. Or you can buy me a coffee, or make a donation directly, whatever. But just sending your images in is greatly appreciated all by itself. So thanks so much, and thanks for editing my images. Always fun to see what you guys do. So have a great weekend. Saturday tomorrow for me anyway, and I'm working tomorrow. But other than that, I'm going to try and get out and do some photo shoots or something fun. I don't know. We'll see. But you guys have fun, okay? Thanks for being here tonight with me, and we'll see you again soon.